Hey guys, Dennis here with Revog Games. I'm joined by
Joshua Weyers, all the way in South Africa.
yes, and it's been a couple weeks. It's we haven't done this in a little while, and there's a lot of
Yeah,
news now. It turned out to be like, okay, we had some news to talk about, into like now we have too much to talk about.
true. Yeah, no. I was gonna say that was the issue. Like we had our original list, and we had to remove some things just to make room for the newer, more important stuff. Specifically today. Today we had the Nintendo Direct and the State of Play, so
hmm
that's a lot of news to cover. We're only gonna cover like the important stuff, though.
Yeah, yeah, and then we were gonna get into a discussion about Halo Infinite later because of all the news coming out of there. But let's start with PlayStation State of Play. It was only 20 minutes. But they did have a good amount of reveals and updates. Some were like okay, and then some were pretty cool. Why don't you start off with the first one, Tekken 8, when you saw that?
Okay, first of all, I'm hype. I love Tekken. Love Tekken. Perfect timing as well, because the anime just dropped on Netflix a while back. It did pretty good. I think the anime could have been better, but it was pretty good. Like, it was really good. Animated well. It was action packed. And then, yeah, perfect timing dropping this trailer afterwards. But man, does it look good, Dennis. The first couple of punches, I was like, wow, this is like a really cool cinematic. And then I was like, wait, this is in game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is we are living the cutscene. Dennis, I used to play like I played like I've been playing Tekken since Tekken 2, so I can't say I was there from the beginning. But since Tekken 2, I've played everyone religiously,
Mm-hmm.
and around Tekken 4, that's when the cutscenes got like really fucking like epic and cool. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And now it's like I get to play those cutscenes, man. Like like when I was watching this trailer, I just had this moment of like realization, and I think we've been there. Technology's been there for a while, but I never had this realization of like we are living the cutscenes now. The cutscenes are gameplay now, not just for Tekken, but for most games.
Yeah,
It's just it's nice to be in that world.
yeah, I realized that when one of my favorite game franchises is Alan Wake.
Mm.
And I had the game on the PC. I first played it on the Xbox 360, but I also bought it on PC. And it's just so funny because when I played it most recently, it's like the cutscene graphics are worse than the in-game
Yeah,
graphics now.
I
That's
had
how
that with
it's like
Max Payne
okay.
3 as well, I think. I played it and I was like, yeah, the cutscenes were like trash 720p, and then like you look at like the street in the game and that's got more resolution than anything
Yes.
else. It's
So
weird, man.
yeah.
I'm stoked for this. My question, because obviously we didn't get much out of it, is there going to be a story mode? If there isn't, it's not the end of the world. Tekken has never had a story mode. They've had
Mm-hmm.
little tiny segments where it's like you pick your fighter, you win the
Mm-hmm.
tournament with that fighter, and then usually halfway through the tournament you get a little snippet of whoever he's fighting, and there's like a little bit of dialogue in between two characters, and
Mm-hmm.
then right at the end they'll usually show like a little 2 minute cutscene about what they do with the money that they win or what happens to them after they win. That was kind of how it went. But then Tekken 7 added a story. Well, technically Tekken 5 and 6 like started adding stories, but like I think Tekken 5 story was, I could be wrong about this because I could be getting Tekken 6 and 5 confused, but Tekken 5 story was about a character who is now canon, but it was his own like story set in the world, but didn't really follow the characters of Tekken. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is funny because I must maybe that was Tekken 6, because in Tekken 7 they had a proper story, like an actual storyline. It did come at the cost of getting rid of all those like cool little cutscenes that you would see at the end where you beat it with like if you had your favorite character, martial law, whatever, and you
Mm-hmm.
beat the tournament, you get to see a cutscene of what he would do with that money. I think they still had that, but it was like less of a thing. Anyways, more of a story. It followed Heihachi Mishima, his entire kind of thing. It turns out that he's actually a good guy. I always thought he was the villain, and then if you follow the story and the lore, it's like, yeah, I mean, he's not a nice guy, but like the things he does is understandable. It's
Mm-hmm.
for the greater good, kind of. Anyway, so that had a really like a big emphasis on story. So I'm wondering if with Tekken 8, considering we didn't see anything story related, maybe they're just going straight back to like tournament style gameplay. That's what worked. It's a multiplayer game. We're not going to add in a story. But maybe they'll have those little tiny small cutscenes I spoke about, where it's like, hey, you get to see what this character did with the winnings that he won from the tournament. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, yeah. Actually, I don't think it will have a story because Tekken 7 kind of rounded up their story nicely. Put like a
Mm-hmm.
bow on it. It didn't look like there was going to be a sequel to the story, at least. Maybe in the anime, but yeah, I think the game will be multiplayer only. Who cares, man? Like like I enjoyed the story of the previous game, but people play Tekken to beat people up, man. That's what
Yeah,
so
I
you
mean,
and a friend can sit next to each other and yell at each other. That's what that game's for.
yeah, I mean, I used to be super into, Street Fighter 2
Street
back in
Fighter,
the
yeah.
day, and I remember like the endings were just like these really short animations with like still frames, like, and we got super excited about that. So yeah,
Yeah,
fighting games
man.
not really that
I think
super.
that's where Tekken maybe got the idea back in the day was from Street
Street
Fighter,
Fighter, yeah,
possibly.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Um,
just did animations instead of stills.
Yeah, there was also two games that were announced for PlayStation VR 2, but they're two previous games that already existed. One is
Yeah,
the Demio game, and
which is
then
fun, by the way. Actually got to play Demio a
okay,
while back with some
yeah. I mean,
friends.
people love it. People love
I
if you love
recommend it.
tabletop. It's like
Yeah.
VR tabletop gaming.
You do get an actual VR tabletop simulator, but Demio, it's easier for people to get used to. You know what I mean? It's even friendly for people who have never played tabletop
Yeah.
games. You can just jump into Demio. It's awesome.
Yeah, and then they
And
did
then
the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which also used to be an exclusive for the Quest.
yeah,
Now they're putting the
I
VR
never
2.
actually played it, but I will say at
It's
one point in time they showed like the Millennium Falcon, and I was like, isn't that Disneyland? And I think it was Disneyland, but like obviously animated, but like the section of Disneyland that is
yes,
Star Wars.
yes.
I was like that was quite cool. I was like, oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then
It looks good though. I will say the graphics look good.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure PSV or the PSVR 2, they're trying to shore up their library, even if it's
Mm.
older stuff.
They got the power now, man. The PS5's got the power for VR.
Yeah, and also some people just don't want to get a Quest, and maybe they want to get but because of the PlayStation name or Sony or whatever, they'll buy a PSVR 2 and play these games that they've never played before. So
So Yakuza Like a Dragon, the previous one that just came out, not the one that just got announced. My favorite Yakuza game of all time. Because it has the best story out of all the Yakuza games. But then again, that's my preference. I like the other Yakuza games, but they're very melodramatic, very soap opera-ish, very Days of Our Lives kind of drama. But yeah, so when I saw this, I was like, oh wait, crap, there's a Yakuza Like a Dragon sequel. Like I'm so excited, but it's not. It's a remake of a game that's really old that never got released to the Western audience.
yes,
In actual fact, doesn't even take place in modern day Japan, which the Yakuza series takes place in the modern. So the Yakuza I think it's a spin-off. It's technically not a Yakuza game, right?
yeah. I mean, it's a
From what
spin-off.
I'm able to
So
gather here, yeah. Ishin, Like a Dragon. So like, I don't know much about it. Like it looked fun. Obviously, look, the gameplay doesn't look crisp. It is a remake, so you're gonna get those kind of older, janky
yeah,
physics. Like it looks like it still runs like a kind of like a PlayStation 1 game. But it looks good, and it still looks kind of fun and goofy. Like you can go back and play old games and they're still fun. Even if the animations don't look good, it's still fun. You know what I mean? Like you may have disagreements with the fighting animations or whatever, but the game looks fun.
yeah.
I don't know much about it though.
Next thing up, Hogwarts Legacy. When I first saw this, I was like, "Oh, didn't we just see Hogwarts
skipped
Legacy
it.
footage before?" Anyways, it's basically saying there's a PlayStation exclusive quest for it. It's a Hogsmeade centered quest, and it takes place in a creepy basement that leads into like some sort of dungeon or whatever. The mood of it is actually kind of darkish. I mean, obviously there's no blood and guts or anything like that, but you kind of get a little more horror vibes from it. But it's just funny because it's a PlayStation exclusive, which we're going to talk about a little bit more later in this show, because there's kind of like a back and forth between Xbox and Sony about exclusivity around Activision. But anyways, we'll talk more about that later. So
Yeah,
it looks cool.
I've been avoiding all Hogwarts news because
Yeah, looks good.
I don't want any spoilers. I'm glad that they showed us some dark stuff though, because
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have it anymore, but I know
but-
Green Gaming did have like a $10 off if you pre-order. So
okay, nice.
so I may go do that.
Yeah, if it's available for PC, if I can do that for PC, I'm
Yes,
definitely
yeah,
gonna do it.
it's for a PC
They-
Steam key. So
I think they
of
showed
Green
off the
Gaming.
they showed off the common rooms about a week ago, and I also avoided all of that because I was like, I want to walk into the common room for the first time and see it
Okay.
myself. Like, I think it's cool that they're showing everybody like, here's Hufflepuff, here's Gryffindor. I'm like, hey, I don't want show me that. Like, Don't ruin it for me. Let me play like they've already won me, you know? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna watch a single Hogwarts video until the game comes out because they've already won me. Just let me play the
Coming
game.
out in February, so it's not too far off.
Mm.
Pacific Drive, first title from Irwin Studios. This looks like, to be honest, this looks like a perfect Game Pass game. I know we're talking about PlayStation, so maybe it'll be on PlayStation Plus or whatever. It just looks like that type of. It's like an indie story based. Looks very cool. Great atmosphere. But you know, for those type of games, it's harder to get people to buy them. But
It looks like what's usually considered a walking simulator, but you're in a car, so it's a little bit more action packed. Like I don't know, it reminds me of Firewatch, you know, but like heavy, I guess darker and heavier and in a car.
Yeah. They announced 2 action-oriented games that are exclusive to the PlayStation consoles. The first one was Stellar Blade, which was renamed because it used to be Project Eve. I love the production design on this. I mean, I don't know gameplay-wise. It's a Korean studio called Shift Up that's doing this. But what do you think about the graphics and this? Kind of the tone of it.
Hold on, Project Eve. Didn't they drop like a trailer a while back?
I think
like
so.
There was like a demo, like a single. Because if it is what I think it is, like I played that and that was fucking awesome, and I was like, I can't wait for the full game. Let me just look that up real quick to confirm. Project Eve.
Yeah, so they renamed it Stellar Blade.
No, okay, I'm definitely thinking of something else.
Okay.
But I will say that this does look interesting.
I like the art design.
Yeah, it does look very interesting for sure. Don't know much about it.
Yeah,
but the mechanics look quite interesting, like from the very little mechanics that we have seen.
Then you see a game that at first people were like, "Is that Ghost of Tsushima 2?" But it wasn't. It was Rise of the Ronin from Team Ninja. It is an open world game, but it's set a little bit. It's not modern age, but it's a little closer because it has guns in it, which Ghost of Tsushima does not.
It's gonna be like late 1800s maybe.
Yeah,
like
and it also has more of the supernatural, fantastical, mystical elements to it that Ghost of Tsushima only kind of hinted at, and only in their DLC did they kind of go into. But the actual game itself is much more rooted in realism, as much as you can be rooted in realism. But this definitely is more of the kind of ninja gated.
Yeah, I don't know if we have these written down because I think we missed it, but there was the Ubisoft thing a while ago where they were talking about Assassin's Creed and the future games and stuff. And they announced the next 3 Assassin's Creed games, and one of them was set in feudal Japan, and I was like, oh, so it's literally going to be Ghost of Tsushima. Like it's literally going to be Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, we'll talk.
That's basically what it's going to be.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that a little bit later. And then the big news, the big reveal. God of War.
Before you say that, they did also announce Sin Duality, which looks fun, but also looks like I couldn't care less about the story. Which is weird because usually I love these kinds of like weeb JRPG stories, but I couldn't care less about the characters or what they're doing. Like it didn't grab me that way. But when I saw the gameplay, I was like, you know what, that looks kind of fun. Like the game looks fun. The story, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, the big thing. God of War Ragnarok. They released a story trailer. Obviously, before they made you watch their limited edition DualSense controller first because they know that you'd turn it off right after the trailer. So they kind of promoted that, and then there was the big story trailer showing off like, they're not like spoiling anything, just showing that you were following what's the son's name? Atreus. The son.
Yeah, Atreyu, I think.
Yeah, Atreyu. Following his lead, like he's the one's kind of guiding the story. Like I don't know if he has premonitions or he found something that's kind of leading him on a path somewhere to trying to find out more about, I guess, himself and
they kind of like gave us that like didn't really like. Okay, well they kind of gave us the cliffhanger in the last game where it's like you find out he's Loki.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sorry, spoilers by the way for anybody who didn't know that. It has been years though. In our defense. Anyway, so that was that. So I kind of knew the second game was going to be very much about him because that was a bit of like a cliffhanger. Like, what are they going to do with that information? So it makes sense. Yeah, it's all about following him. The acting's really good. It looks crisp. There's a couple fights. Like there's like I think those are were they Valkyries that I saw at the end. I'm not too sure. Fuck, dude, it just looks
Yeah.
awesome. Like, it looks really really awesome. I knew it was. This is the best trailer we have. I think there's only been one other trailer, but I really like this trailer. Like I really like this trailer, man. It was good. It got me excited, and I like the whole people talking to Kratos. They're like there was a one dialogue where it's like, "You're like, how long were you a god for? Even like, did anybody ever worship you?" And I was like, "I did." I was like, "Me and millions of gamers across the world worshipped him as a god." Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, these look like
Uh,
space Valkyries.
Yeah,
They're
dude,
like
that's what I was
battling
going to
him.
say. And like there's like the fucking stars in the background and you're in some kind of different like realm and then we also got to see a little bit of a chubby Thor right at the end there, huh?
Yeah.
We got some thick 3 C's thick Thor. I like that. Well maybe just 2 C's thick. He's not the
Yeah.
thickest, but he's thick. They showed off another character who's I'm not too sure who he is, but the skinnier Norse guy
Yeah.
that's kind of helping them along. I'm not too sure who that is. I'm looking forward to finding out who that is.
Yeah. So that was kind of the big thing from State of Play. Brand new God of War Ragnarok. You know, in the game's right around the corner. It's November 9th. You can pre-order now, so it's it's less than 2 months away. Such a big game coming out. You know what though? Even though as much as I love the other game, I don't think I'm gonna be getting it because I don't have a PS5. And I'm assuming it's on
I was
PS4,
gonna
but
say, yeah, I was gonna say I don't have a PS5, and yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm not gonna get it on PS4, man.
and you
I
know
would
what?
rather wait
And you know what would
wait
help?
for a PC.
Yeah, you know
What?
what would help? If they launch day one PC, like I keep talking about. Like stop wasting your money, your marketing resources. If you launch, especially exclusive game, you want to launch exclusive game, launch it day one PC with.
I do think that it will come out. Okay, not day one, but I do think that they will release the PC version within 6 months.
I think a year.
That could be. I could be optimistic, but the reason I say that is because the Spider-Man game that they just did for PC, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, then again, it runs smooth as hell on my. It looks way better than it ever did on the PS4. So it looks great on my PC. And then Miles Morales is coming out like shortly after, but when Miles Morales coming out shortly after leads me to believe that they are able to do these quicker. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So I feel like I'm being optimistic, but I feel like we'll get God of War Ragnarok on PC. I think we'll get it maybe around June, July next year.
I hope so. I hope so.
I really hope so. Yeah.
I did, like I said, not that I don't want a PS5. I just don't.
No point, dude.
I don't
You got
see the
Game Pass
reason
and a
to.
good PC.
Yeah, I don't really see the need to get one quite yet. Maybe when like Ghost of Tsushima 2, which is a few years off. It's tough. It's funny though. The whole like Spider-Man remastered kind of dodged all the criticism, or maybe not all, but most of the criticism because it was launching on the PC for the first time. So the price at $60 full price, it was like, okay, you did, there's no other way to play it on the PC before this. So $60, maybe you never played it again. Maybe it's worth. That's why I didn't get it, to be honest, because I do have it on the PS4.
$10 off, I think. We
Okay.
got like our out here with the regional. I don't know why it's weird, but with the regional pricing, like, let me put it in perspective. Like a full price game used to cost like 1,200 rand before regional pricing. Now with regional pricing, full price games cost 800 rand. But we got Spider-Man for 700. Which is about 100 rand. So it's not full $10. It's technically like $7.50 off, but we still paid less than full price. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't know why it was $60 in the States when at least in my country, and I know for a fact other countries, it was not $60. You know?
Yeah. But Last of Us Part 1, which we'll get into later, the remake.
Did you see angry?
I heard about it. I heard about it.
Was it Angry Joe?
I heard it.
He just re-uploaded his
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
He re-uploaded his old review. I thought that was the funniest
Yeah.
freaking thing, man.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was full price. But like I said, had they released it on PC the same day, I think they would have at least curtailed some of the criticisms, because it's like, okay, if you were on a PC and you didn't own a PlayStation, here's the first time you get on PC. Guess what? But they released it on PS5 for people who, let's just be fair, most of the people who own a PS5 probably have already played Last of Us, whether on the original on the PS3 or the remastered on the PS4. So now it's
absolutely
a third time on PS5, which you probably were on. That's why I'm telling you, Sony, you want to stay in the game, start doing those day one PC releases. So all right, let's move on because there's just so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Nintendo Direct.
Let me blow through that real quick for us over here.
Yeah.
First, let's start with the biggest news and the
Yes.
biggest takeaway, which is that we got Breath of the Wild 2, which we can't call it that anymore because it has a name now, right? Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes.
Very edgy. Sounds like an emo band from the late 2000s. I like it. I will say right off the bat, the first half of the trailer was just hieroglyphics, disappointing. But then the second half of the trailer, we actually got to see the game, and it looks identical to the first one, at least in terms of graphics, which makes sense because it's still on the Nintendo Switch, and you can only push the Nintendo Switch so far.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw this trailer, the first thing I thought of was, wow, the original Breath of the Wild must have really pushed the system to its limits, because it doesn't look much better or different. I will say, well, okay, it's different in the sense of the world is entirely different. You know what I mean? If you will, like from what I was able to gather, it's a whole new map, whole new area, whatever. Because that's the game. Thank God, right? But Link looks exactly the same, and like it still has I guess it's one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it things. You know what I mean? The art style works, the game works. Because all people wanted from Breath of the Wild was just more of it. And I guess this is it. So Tears of the Kingdom is just going to be more Breath of the Wild. It's just a whole new map and a whole new place to explore and new things to do,
Makes sense. Elden Ring, if Elden Ring has a at least spiritual sequel, if it's more of the same, I'm all good for it.
Yeah. I will say it does it like cuz well the Breath of the Wild had a lot of it was all exploration, ground exploration, but this obviously they're showcasing the fact that there is air exploration as well, which is new. You know what I mean? Like you could technically do air exploration in the previous game using like glitches that were now they're basically now features where you use like you pause time, you throw the bomb behind me, you use the bomb to explode you into the air. But with this one, there's like a little stone bird, and there's like floating islands, so it seems like there's a big emphasis on that as well. And then for the most part, because we got so much to cover, I'm going to be skipping through most of the Nintendo Direct. I hope you guys don't hate me for that. The new Kirby game looked average. I'm sorry, I'm skipping past that. Octopath Traveler 2, worth mentioning because it won. I think the original won a lot of awards. Bayonetta 3 got a new trailer. That's worth talking about because it has been a very long time since we've gotten Bayonetta 1 and 2. Very happy that they are continuing the series. Happy that it's coming to Switch. Let's see, what have we got here? A bunch of N64 kind of games are coming back to the Switch now. A lot of them I actually thought were already there, so it's interesting that they got announced. I'm excited about this, man. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is coming out on December 13th. If I am correct on this, I think it's just a Crisis Core remake, it was a PSP game, so it makes sense for it to come to Switch. A remaster for Switch, Both were mobile kind of games. More Mario Kart 8 maps. This I'm excited about, which is Nintendo Switch Sports gets its free golf mode because it didn't have golf, and that's like one of the reasons you want to get it.
It's like one of the most popular things on the original Wii Sports.
But they did promise us that we would get it for free later, and here we are, and they're saying we're still getting it for free this holiday. So
nice.
As long as they don't charge me, I'm happy because I've already paid for the game.
Yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Wave 2 of DLC. Oh, you know what? Xenoblade Chronicles 3, this is DLC. The game came out a while ago. I didn't even know that. I missed that. So that's DLC. Splatoon 3 got announced, I think,
Mhm.
so that's pretty good as well. Splatoon is a really fun game on the Nintendo, so I'm excited to try that out. Um, Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life, worth mentioning, worth looking at. I think that was it. Tunic is coming to Switch. I think we announced that a while ago, but now it's
Mhm.
actually coming to Switch like a month later.
Yeah. It
It
takes
Takes
two.
Two
Yeah.
coming to Switch. I do think that it'll be scaled down, obviously, and I feel the same with Sifu, which is also coming to Switch. I think that might be scaled down a bit too.
That's kind of a
Well,
cool game to be on the
yeah,
Switch. Maybe scaled
yeah,
down graphically, but I think uh, I
yeah.
haven't played it yet. But it seems
The
like the
game is gonna be
fun.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, the game mechanics seem to work for a handheld.
No, I agree. If you're doing handheld and you got those extra like grippy controllers, because here's the thing, I've been using the Switch handheld for a while now, and it works. But for like the more intense action games, you need
Mhm.
like better, you need grip. So you
Mhm.
got to buy like an adapter, or you got to buy a different controller or whatever. Let me make sure that that's like I said. There's a lot of other things here, but we're not going to cover because we don't really have the time. Oh, Factorio's coming. That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, that's it. This I don't get. There was this big announcement about Endless Dungeon, right? Coming to Switch, but Endless Dungeon, I have it, and I've been playing it on the Switch for a year. So I don't know if the announcement, like, I know that they just recently come. There's a new character, so maybe they were announcing the DLC, but it kind of came across as them being like, "Hey, look at this game that is already on Switch. It has been for a while." So I'm not too sure
Yeah,
what
it's
that was
weird. It
about.
says Endless Dungeon will be released in 2023. It's weird.
I don't get it. The games are like, am I playing a different Endless Dungeon? Like the thing is that what the game they showed, it's like the game I'm playing, but much better. Like I don't know how to explain it. So maybe it's a sequel and they're just not calling it Endless Dungeon 2.
Yeah.
I because it's definitely Endless Dungeon, but the maps are bigger, like way
Hmm.
bigger. So I thought it was just DLC or something, but no, maybe it's a reboot. Maybe
Hmm.
it's a reboot. It is an old game. But yeah, that's about it for the Nintendo Direct.
Okay. All right. So this next topic is kind of it's gonna be a big one because there's a lot to cover here. So Halo Infinite had a lot of announcements, and most of them are not good. So
Yeah.
the only good news is we're finally getting the Forge mode on November 8th, which I personally have only back in the old days played around with the Forge mode, but I just never really had the time or whatever, had the passion to like go in there and make full on maps that other people do. But it's a good thing for the community because one of the complaints is about kind of the lack of new content in Halo Infinite, and so the community can probably using Forge mode breathe some new life into the game. The bad news, which there's a lot of, is one campaign co-op. Is also coming on that day, but no split screen
Mm.
co-op. It's only online co-op, which for me personally at this point in my age, I'm not in college anymore where, or right out of college when I was living with roommates where that would be more of a big thing, having split screen co-op, but it has been canceled entirely that they're not, which is weird because some people said there's like a bug in it where they were able to get it to work on the Xbox Series X. Like there was a glitch
Yeah.
in it to like they were able to do it, which is very, very weird.
I think the issue is resources as
Mm-hmm.
well, and
Mm-hmm.
because of how big the maps are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think of a good game, Ark Survival Evolved. It has a split screen mode, but it doesn't allow the two players to get further than each other because it
Mm-hmm.
can only generate so much of the land. It can only
Yeah.
generate so many chunks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there has this limitation in place where you can, like, and it gets annoying because if you and your friend are on the outside of that limits, if like whoever's the host, if they walk, whoever's player one, player two just gets dragged manually
Mm-hmm.
behind because the game will not allow them to be further than that. So I think the issue is that I
Yes.
when I first heard this news, I was sad because it's like you want split screen, but at the same time, like it's 2022, everyone's gaming online.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like the chances of your friend
I
having
yeah
this
I
game like at home is pretty high, you
yes
know?
I personally it does not affect me, but I understand if people are upset because that's what they were promised.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, more bad news is that season 3 is not coming until March 7th. So they're extending season 2 by a whole, whatever, 6 months or something like they're extending it
That's
out.
crazy.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. So people are upset about that. That look that they're not getting what they were promised, and now you have a season 3 that's not coming till March 2023. Like
That only hurts Microsoft. Like that only hurts like it's a free to play game, the multiplayer. You know what I mean? You got to
yes.
make your money from microtransactions. And most of that's going to be from people buying the battle pass because that's usually the most bang for your buck if you play the game. Well, any games as a service game, you get the most bang for your buck from the battle pass usually from my experience. So to delay that by so long is them that's like them saying, "Oh, we don't want money. We don't want this to make money. We don't want it to succeed." Um,
Yes.
Going back though as well, I will say dude, they should have released Forge sooner. We say that all the time,
Yes.
but also I never really used Forge, but Forge is the whole reason I know about Halo in the first place. Is watching videos online about weird things people have done in Forge.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Weird game modes they've made. I mean, how I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for Forge, Red versus Blue wouldn't be around, you
Mm-hmm.
know? I could be wrong on that, but I know that they a lot of that was used for it. And just the amount of fun a lot of fun multiplayer games are in Forge. I think Forge could entirely save this game. I think the reason they didn't focus on it is because they know it's not going to make them any money, you know? It's just
Mm-hmm.
going to be very beneficial to the consumer and the player, but
Yeah, but I
they're
mean,
not going to make any
the
money.
season passes make them money, and they're still
Correct.
don't have. You know what I mean? There's no new season pass. They're just extending it out. So yeah. And then to top this all off, before we get into our discussion, is that 343 Industries founder. I don't know if she's like the sole founder or co-founder, but Bonnie Ross is leaving the studio. She said she's attending to family medical issues. She said she originally was going to stay until the winter update happened, but now with the winter update being delayed, she's leaving. So, and all of this news collectively has just for the community that people that have loved
Left a
Halo
bad taste in their mouth, man.
left a bad taste in the mouth, and also have called for 343 to step away from Halo. That's been kind of the online chatter, which is like people are saying, that's it, 343, you've had Halo long enough. You did Halo 4, you did Halo 5, you did Halo Infinite, and it's not up to what people are expecting. Now,
Yeah.
I'm personally not saying this because I feel like the foundation of what they have is good. It's just I feel like they're just not quick enough on, and then also they're probably not experienced to have these ongoing persistent games. These
Yeah.
forever games, right? That's just not what Halo ever was about, and this is the first time they're doing it. And I think they kind of underestimated the amount of work and resources that were needed for it, which
Or exactly. You need a dedicated team, like a
yeah,
dedicated team to just pumping out cosmetics. Like that's what you need,
yeah,
and good ones, like not bad ones. Like it needs to be cosmetics that people want, emotes people want, you know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm pretty like this is a bad example, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of thought process that goes on before Fortnite releases just a bunch of random stuff, I mean, now they get to do the big collaborations and stuff, but that's
Yes,
also something that Halo could have done. They could have done some great collaborations with their own IP, that they
yes,
own. They could have made moves, man. Here's the thing. You're right, the foundation's there. The game is actually it's good. Like
yes.
I went
Gameplay
back
is
and I played
great.
yeah. I played the campaign again recently. Had a great freaking time.
Hmm.
Played online, had less of a good time. Still had a good time, but had less of a good time. And it's just the game is good, man. Forge will bring new life into it. The issue is that even though the battle pass systems and getting XP, they fixed that issue. They've made it more fair and easier to get
Hmm.
XP, or not easier but better. Um, it doesn't change the fact that I'm not interested in a single cosmetic that they've released.
Hmm.
Not a single cosmetic have I been like, oh, you know what? I'll get that. You know
I
what I
was
mean?
kind of interested when they did the kitten ears, when they did the
That was the most they got me because it was so out there, and I was
yeah.
like, dude, do more stuff like I think it was if you look at Doom, it's Doom. Doom is
Hmm.
freaking Doom, dude. Doom's multiplayer skins are wild. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You could be a freaking like a pink fluffy unicorn essentially. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like it's almost like Halo was too scared to go that route. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I promise you, they would have had more money and more people buying cosmetics if you did have pink kitty ears for your Spartan troop. I think the one thing that had cool was I think it was the first battle pass that if you finish it, you get that flaming like
Yes.
effect around your head. That was really
Yeah.
like if they had more like cool effects like that, I'd be into it, you know. But
Hmm.
literally, there's most of the like every battle pass I've seen has been very lackluster, you know.
So let me ask you this. I guess I have two questions. Big questions. One, should 343 Industries step away from Halo, and should Microsoft get a new studio to come take over Halo? And two, can Halo Infinite be saved? Is Forge mode enough? Is co-op online enough? Is whatever is coming in season 3 enough? Can Halo Infinite be saved? Or, almost a year later now, is it like unsavable? Is there no
Here,
redemption for Halo Infinite?
here's the thing, right? To answer your first question, I don't care.
Hmm.
It's gonna take years for another Halo to come out anyway. So if a new studio does it, or if 131, I don't care. They nailed the campaign. The only reason I ever like I played multiplayer, and yes,
Hmm.
I know Halo is big. It's a big multiplayer game, but I usually only played for the campaign.
Hmm.
Like I love the campaign. You know what I mean? And they nailed this one.
Hmm.
So I'm not mad at the studio. I think they did a great freaking job in
Hmm.
this game. They absolutely failed on the battle pass. Do I think it's salvageable? Absolutely.
Okay.
They just need to make some freaking moves, man. Like they're being lazy. Like I'm sorry, but they have so much at their disposal. Like it's Microsoft, Dennis. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the amount of IP that they now own, the amount of like cross integration, cross branding things that they can do, it's insane. Like the fact that they haven't, it baffles my mind. You know what I mean? Like I mean, maybe not now, but like in the future, you could do collaborations with the Elder Scrolls. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like Skyrim. You know, you could Fallout. You know what I mean, dude? How cool would it be to have the what's
The power armor.
the power, but also like yeah, the Brotherhood armor and like,
Yeah.
but yeah, the power armor. How cool would that be in Halo? Like
Yeah.
they have so much at their disposal and they're just not using it, and it baffles me. You know what I mean? It baffles me. Or at least just hire one dedicated team that only works on the battle pass, nothing else. You
Yeah.
get like 10 developers together maybe and just let them do their thing. You know what I mean? Let them like chime in, see what like collaborations they can do, see how weird or wild they can get. Like, because a lot of the cosmetics like okay, I'm not going to say that they're lame. Like there's a couple of them that look really cool, but they don't look much different from the others. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They all just look like little tiny armor add-ons, and it's
Hmm.
like I don't know, man. Maybe if they had some more wild color schemes or anything that stood out more, like they all kind of look very like military gray, and I get that that's the thing, but man, like there's things there. Like we've seen the hardest. Like I said, I've seen games like Doom and Call of Duty come out with the weirdest cosmetics, and if
Hmm.
they can get away with it, then Halo can obviously get away for it. And like it's like they're almost too scared. Like I said, to get away from this whole like space. Like I don't know. Like it's almost like they're worried about their brand getting hurt if they do something too weird. Like I was surprised they did the kitty ears. You know what I mean? I love the kitty ears. I want more of that kind of stuff, and then
Yeah.
they'll have my money.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm maybe a little more skeptical than you. I don't think they should take away from
I think Forge
343.
can save it, man.
I think
Like
I think
I think Forge can say it before you say anything. I will say this: I don't think that this game will ever make the money that they thought it would.
hmm.
I don't think it'll ever make the money that they thought it would. Is it salvageable? Yes. Is it gonna be their bread and their biggest thing? Is it gonna be their Fortnite? Hell no, hell no.
Hmm.
But they can still salvage this,
Yeah, I mean, Forge will help.
at least
Co-op
until the
online will
next
help.
Halo. You know, at
Yeah, but
least
I mean, the
until the
whole
next
thing is
Halo
the
and the next
Halo Infinite.
multiplayer.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is they want to keep Halo Infinite as the future. Like it's supposed to keep going on, going on, going on, going. You
Yeah,
know, like their Fortnite. The campaign will be a whole different thing. You know, whatever Halo, whatever 7 will be, I guess, because
yeah.
Halo Infinite was technically 6. Whatever Halo 7 will be a full-on campaign, but multiplayer technically should just keep going, and the foundation is there, the gameplay is there, just more variety and everything. And like I said, I'm actually a person who doesn't need so much of the cosmetics and whatever and the progress because I'm old school, so I just care about the gameplay, and the gameplay is great, and more maps would be good because everyone likes
Yeah,
more good maps. More, if you want to
more
introduce
game modes as well.
more game modes, introducing new weapons and whatever. So cool. That's that's what I'm kind of more looking for. Because cosmetics are a plus, but not my primary need. But yeah,
I'm the same, Dennis. I could play this game. Honestly, I could play this game for at least a couple more years without spending any money on it. But the issue is that if no one spends money on the game, it's not going to be supported. You know?
Yeah. So, is it salvageable? I probably have a little more skeptical, less optimistic outlook than you. I do think so, like you do, but I think.
I don't think they're gonna salvage it. I don't think that they are gonna salvage it. I'm just saying it's easy. Dude, it's so easy to salvage this, but I don't think that they're going to.
Okay.
Like not by a long shot do I think. I think that they're already cutting their losses. Like everything we've said today, Dennis. Like all the news coming out, they are cutting their losses on this, man. I think they've already given up on it, which is sad. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't think they can though. I mean, Halo is so synonymous with Xbox. Like. Obviously I love Fallout and everything, but Fallout everyone knows. Well, first of all, it wasn't even a Bethesda property even before, and then Bethesda kind of, they bought the rights and they made it their own. And so far, Microsoft's brand has not been, is not synonymous with any of the Bethesda properties yet. Maybe in the future they will be.
But it is synonymous with Game Pass, and I think Game Pass makes them enough money to be like, oh, okay, Halo sucked, that's all right, I think that it's going to get to that point eventually where they're like, they're not going to be hurting so much from this once, once Game Pass
I don't think
has
it's
the entire Activision Blizzard library as well.
I don't think it's so much hurting in the aspects of money. I think more in the aspects of pride, and
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because Halo is their flagship. It's their mascot. It's like, remember, back in the day, Nintendo had Mario and Sega had Sonic. PlayStation, they had to have Crash. They tried to make one, and for a time it was like Crash Bandicoot. For some reason, it's now owned by
Naughty Dog.
Yeah, no, isn't Crash Bandicoot owned by Microsoft now? I think Microsoft owns it now through.
I don't know, man.
I think through Activision Blizzard.
It's on the freaking Nintendo Switch now as well.
It's just weird. Anyways, so. Yeah, so like Halo or Master Chief basically is the mascot for Xbox.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on. This one we can talk about just briefly because it ended up not being true, but there was a rumor at the end of August that Amazon was going to buy EA. Then it ended up, being retracted.
Amazon doesn't have that money right now. They're taking look, Amazon's got money. Don't get me wrong, but they're taking a lot of L's in some other places right now that they don't have. Making acquisitions right now would be the dumb thing for them to do.
Well, I think also for acquisition for something they have yet to prove to make any cash at. I know they own Twitch now, and I know
they've owned it for a while. But Twitch, from what I know, Twitch doesn't make a profit, at least from what I've been heard. Like Amazon owns Twitch, but they don't really care about Twitch. Yes, it is their biggest. It is the face of live streaming technically, but they don't really make much money from that, from what I can tell. Yeah.
So yeah, there was rumors running around that we're gonna buy EA. Ended up not being true. Could still end up being purchased by another. I mean, like I said in a future topic that we're gonna talk about on the show, Microsoft, it's probably not in their cards because of people.
Then it's gonna be.
People are,
like Monopoly.
Yeah, people are already looking at the Activision Blizzard thing and not liking that, and
yeah.
And then Sony
You're the second biggest company in the world. You must have a monopoly.
and Sony doesn't have the cash for it. So that just.
I also do think that with Sony there is the issue of acquiring international studios, or that seems to be a tricky thing. You know what I mean? At least international acquisitions seem to be tricky. Like it's easier to acquire a studio if you're within the same country or not even the same country, but as long as you guys have got the same kind of economic standing and stuff like that and work together, quite interesting. I still think Square Enix sold off all their Western companies just so that Sony can acquire them.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet, but I feel like one day we're gonna get the message saying that Sony's acquiring Square Enix.
Possibly.
Either that or Capcom.
Because they sold those things dirt cheap.
Cheap for nothing, man. They sold Lara Croft. They sold Lara Croft for nothing, Dennis.
Yes.
Lara frickin' Croft, who was like the face of gaming for like a decade or more. Yeah. Gone for half the money it was worth. That was bananas, dude.
Yeah. Let's go through. There's a bunch of like TV movie adaptation news.
Oh yeah.
One, Netflix BioShock movie, which has been in development for a long, long time. I remember back in the day, Gore Verbinski was going to direct it. Now they found Francis Lawrence, who from The Hunger Games: Catching Fire, I Am Legend. He's going to be directing the BioShock film. Hold on. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
Yes,
see.
it's a script written by Michael Green,
Yeah.
known for Logan, Blade Runner 2049,
Yes.
and American Gods. I actually just started watching American Gods, so I'm enjoying that so far. Also, Logan and Blade Runner was very well written, so
Yes,
I have faith in this guy.
Yeah.
First time I'm like hearing or reading his name, but like looking at his IMDb, I have faith in him.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Logan.
Yeah.
Netflix Arcane, first streaming series to win an Emmy Award for animation. You and me raved about this series.
So good, dude. So good.
Yeah, if you're talking about adaptations, obviously it's not a live action adaptation, but if you're just saying adaptations in general, it's so far the highest quality one, the best one. So they won. It's funny because the Emmys actually were last night here in the United States, actually here in Los Angeles, but that was like for only
didn't Keenan host it?
Yeah.
Kenan
Thompson.
Oh man, his little Leo DiCaprio joke was quite funny.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard that.
Yep.
He was saying, yeah, what was it? Zendaya turned 26, so he was like, you're too old to play a high school kid now, but you're also too young to date Leonardo DiCaprio. It was so funny, man.
Yeah. All right, and then now we have Netflix.
By the way, going back to Arcane, Arcane was huge in the sense of like, I know people like my niece and nephew watched this and they loved it. They have no idea what the hell League of Legends is. They haven't a clue.
And no one
they love this.
No one's gonna play the game off of the series. You know what I mean?
My dad watched The Witcher, loved it. Has no idea that it's a book series or a video game. You know? That's like when things do that good, they find a whole new audience.
Yes, which they're hoping The Last of Us on HBO does. They want The Last of Us.
I think it will.
To be like the next Walking Dead, but on HBO. So, Netflix cancels Resident Evil after one season.
I feel bad about this one.
Yeah, you and me were not as harsh as other people. People were like tearing it apart. I didn't
love it.
No, neither did I.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was the piece of crap that everyone else thought it was.
Look, man, it was filmed around the corner from my house, and the only reason I'm bummed about this is because there was potential work in the future for me. Okay. Also, like a lot of people I know worked on it, and I know if it's canceled for them that like they're gonna be bummed too because they were obviously banking on a second season for more money. So it sucks for like I guess it just sucks because I know people that are involved in it that were like actors and actresses on it, and I feel bad for them. A couple of them really thought it was going to be their big break, man, and it just was not well received.
It's how it is. I mean, the funny thing for me is just like, have you seen the other Resident Evil movies? Like, come on, man. Like people are like,
maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's exactly what happened. They didn't watch the movies because I've watched the movies and I, oddly enough, liked the movies. That's why I liked the series. You know what I mean?
No, but I think some people like the movies and then are crapping on the TV series. And I'm like,
there's also been horrible movies though. There's also been really bad movies.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is like maybe they just like them because they're more true to the series. But like I haven't watched all of them, but I think I've seen like 2 of them, and they were terrible. So
the second one was my favorite, but it was a bad movie, but I liked it. But then again,
which one was the second one?
I think the second one was that scene where they had the lasers, that like the laser room that they walked through, and they just got split, and one dude got like sliced into a bunch of cubes. Pretty heavy, man.
Which one was Nemesis or whatever?
I think that was 3rd or 4th, possibly. Yeah. Look, they started losing the plot around the 3rd or 4th one. Yeah, like they really started losing the plot. And then they made like a 5th or a 6th one, and it was getting ass. It was not good.
Yeah. Anyway, so not that I like loved it and wanted to continue. I just thought it was better than people were making it out to be.
I didn't think it was that bad. Look, I didn't think it was very good either, but it was watchable, very watchable.
Yeah. Days Gone movie reportedly in the works. This is like the game that kind of like doesn't get much love, even though it turned out a
Got a
decent
lot of love on
profit.
PC.
Yeah,
Got a lot of
turned
love
out
on
a lot
PC
of,
when it came out on PC.
but just the image of it is, I think, a lot worse than what it actually, did sales wise. And
yeah. Oh yeah, they suffered on sales on the console front. I know that. And then I remember like the developer being really angry about people not liking his game, if I recall.
well,
Like he had some kind of rant about
yeah.
people not
Well,
buying his game.
he was upset that also that they had sold like 8 million, and then like I think Ghost of Tsushima sold like 9, and then it was considered a hit, and Days Gone was considered a disappointment. So he was just
Oh, that's a fair point though.
yeah.
I mean,
I
look, a
think
million is a huge difference, but between 8 and 9 is a very little difference.
yes. I think it was just more critically not as well received. Where like Ghost of Tsushima is almost universally beloved. So, anyways, they're going to work on a movie. So let's
I
see.
figured it would have been a series. I think that's interesting that they're doing a movie.
Yeah.
But maybe it'll work better. You know what I mean? Maybe that they can do the movie, do like a really big high budget. 'Cause I guess you got a lot more to lose with a TV series. Like you got to be way more consistent.
Yeah.
Like in a movie, you can forgive 1 or 2 bad scenes, but in a series, you can't really forgive 1 or 2 bad episodes.
All right, moving on. Speaking of The Last of Us, Part 1, I know it's been, I think, a couple weeks, but it came out. The reviews on the actual game itself have been pretty good in the sense of, hey, the graphics are a lot better, the animations are a lot better, the lighting, all these things have been, amped up. The big question and the backlash coming from the community is why? Why is this game? Number one, why was the game remade after it had already been remastered? And 2, why were they selling it for full price? Which I think full price on PS5 is $70, not $60, $70. So
Yeah.
So the point is, look, if you took the game and it was in a vacuum and it had just come out and that's the game you got, obviously it's an awesome game and they've updated all the graphics and everything. It's just the context of its release has not been well received, and a lot of people were upset. Like,
You know how they could have avoided all of this? Actually, you know what? I think you're going to say this before I even say this, but how do you think, Dennis, they could have avoided all of this?
Well, 2 things. One, releasing same-day PC, and then not having the price be that high.
Okay, well, then I think there's a third thing. If they just waited and released a bundle
Yes.
like of this game and the
Yes.
100% easily would have been understandable. But the fact that they didn't do that, I think that's dumb. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because then let's say you pay $60 or $70 and you're like, okay, I'm paying for 2 games, 2 remakes. Okay, that's $35 a piece. Okay, that's much more manageable than just the first game. So
yeah. But at the same time, I do know a lot of work goes into a really good
Yes.
PC port. Or like, I know a lot of work goes into it, and it's very tricky to get that stuff right. So I do understand the pains from the studio, but also, yeah, like we said, kind of bad timing. Like the Last of Us remaster for PS4 is really not. It's not bad.
No.
You know what I mean? Like I don't like. Yes, this new game is crisp, and yeah, I could probably play it in 4K, 165 FPS. That's great, but like I've already experienced it. You know what I mean? And I think that you can still get an amazing experience buying this game for like $2 at your GameStop and then playing it on your PS4. Rather than paying full price and playing it on whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't gonna get it. We've already played the game. What the hell's the point?
Yeah, like I said, remaster the second one, bundle it together, put it on PC, and then I will buy it. So
Exactly. Yeah.
So all right. So now to this other topic, which we kind of briefly kind of teased, which is with Xbox or Microsoft acquiring or in the process of acquiring Activision Blizzard, there's a few things that have come out. One, Call of Duty is going to be part of the Xbox Game Pass, but it will launch on PlayStation on the same day. So it'll be like...
Sorry to interrupt. That's another reason I don't think they're going to give a crap about Halo, dude, because they got Warzone now. And even though I don't like Warzone makes way more money.
Yeah. So it's going to come out on the same day as PlayStation. So you'll buy it on the PlayStation, but you'll get it for free on Game Pass. So that one. Two.
I think that's cool. That's actually really cool.
Two, UK watchdog wants an in-depth investigation into the Xbox Activision acquisition. Basically, saying that basically worried about a monopoly just because they're acquiring something. Like I mentioned before, it is a little weird that being the second, or actually technically the third place in the consoles, because the Switch actually has sold, I think, more than the Xbox One. So being in third place, it's weird to be accused of monopoly. I understand based on the moves, all the acquisitions they've gotten over the last few years.
None of it makes sense to me, Dennis, because here's the thing about a monopoly, right? A monopoly means that people have to go to you in order to get those products. It's the reason why movie studios it's illegal for movie studios to own cinema houses, because that's a monopoly. Where it's like, hey, we make the movie and you can come watch the movie, but only at our cinemas. That's a monopoly. You can play Call of Duty on PC, PlayStation, like that. You know what I mean? Like, there's, as far as I know, I mean, hell, even Halo, you can play it on a computer or on a, you know what I mean? They don't have anything that's like, hey, we are Microsoft, we own this thing, you have to only play it on Microsoft systems. Which, I mean, technically with Game Pass, I guess is true, but it's like, it's so accessible, so it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's like, here, like, you want to stop monopolies because you want to help the little guy. But who the hell is out of nowhere going to say, "Oh, I'm going to come up with a gaming subscription service"? You know, like no one's going to try to fight this. They'd be dumb to fight it. You know what I mean? Without, like, it's too late. The only people that can fight it is Sony. You know what I mean? So it's not like there's never going to be a little guy in this scheme. So the fact that they even got investigated for monopoly in the first place baffles my brain. Not just because they're the third biggest, which means they can't be in a monopoly, but also like there's no like monopoly behaviors going on here. Like, you are free to, most of the games that Microsoft owns, most of the acquisitions they made, you are free to buy those games on other platforms. You know what I mean? Like, and yes, Game Pass is on PC, and PC is, if you're using Windows, that's Microsoft. But you could run Linux, you could run Ubuntu, you could run, you know what I mean? Like, you could run any OS on your PC, and then maybe not any OS and then use Game Pass. But my point stands. There's no monopoly, and like I think that's why Microsoft isn't even worried, because it's laughable. It's actually laughable that they would even assume that there's one.
So another part of this story is that Phil Spencer had come out and said, "Hey, don't worry, the Call of Duty is going to be on the PlayStation for several years after the contract." So the contract was up in, I think, 2025, which is in 3 years. And he said it's going to be, there's no plans to stop the agreement, at least for a few years after. And so people didn't know what that meant. And then Sony came out and said, "Oh, well, actually, when he sent me that, email about it, he only said 3 extra years." So, which that puts that at 2028. So
yeah, that makes sense, because look, I hate the word several, because usually when people say several, they don't mean 7. It's almost always less. You know what I mean?
It's
When
under
people say,
5.
It's usually under 5. So I don't understand why they use the word several. Maybe there's some English teacher out there somewhere that can explain why.
I think he just wanted to give the impression that it was going to be longer than it actually was. I think he just wanted to kind of throw that out there. Make it very vague.
He is using the word correctly. You know what I mean? So he's not lying. He's just choosing his words in a very. He's just choosing. Choosing his words
but
wisely.
Sony is not happy about this, which is weird, because it's like the whole thing is like the whole exclusivity thing. Don't know why I can't pronounce it today, but the whole exclusive games thing is. I keep saying, in theory, I don't like it for any platform. I just don't like it. I wish all games were available on every single platform. That's how it should be. Unfortunately, that's not the case. That's not how business works. People need exclusive games, just like people need exclusive content on their streaming services in order to get you to subscribe or to buy their either their content or their system or their subscription. And so, with that being said, Sony has been doing that in-house on their own with, Last of Us and Uncharted and
God of War.
Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, all these great games that are exclusive to the PlayStation format. The only thing difference is that Microsoft is kind of taking the shortcut by buying these companies, but in essence, it's the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're getting an exclusive game for your platform only. The only difference is, like I said, Microsoft's buying them, Sony's growing them in-house, which, is more admirable, but the end result is the same. You have very AAA exclusive games that everyone wants to play. Like, I had to buy a PlayStation. I didn't want to buy I had an Xbox. I didn't want to buy a PlayStation, but because The Last of Us, and that was a game I really wanted to play, was only on the PlayStation, so I bought a PlayStation 3 specifically to play that game. And then it led me to their other great exclusive games. And so now it's this whole thing where it's a battle for all these exclusive games, and the problem for Sony is that Microsoft has so much money they can do this and they cannot. And so they have to build their own, which is a slower process, right? It's slower, where Microsoft can buy, basically almost like buy this history and IP library that they previously did not own. So, I guess people.
It's funny. I mean, I think it's kind of funny for Sony to be sad about that. You know what I mean, or to be upset about it. It's like, hey man, we were promised longer before you. Like, dude, but next time you buy the company.
Yes.
Huh? How about that, Sony? How about next time you buy the company? Yes. Okay.
So yeah. Anyways, another side note too is that the Sony PlayStation 5 has increased price in every country except for the U.S.
That really upsets me.
Yes. And they asked Microsoft and Nintendo, and both of them said no, they were not planning on increasing the price due to inflation and, parts going up in price, so.
I mean, it's particularly messed up for places like where I live, where with things like this, I think we already charge like a 30% import tax.
Mm-hmm.
So we like a PS5 out here at Dennis costs like, let me do the math real quick. Like it's definitely more than $500. Like already,
it's funny.
Launch,
it's funny. Your games are cheap. Your games
are
cheaper than ours, but your consoles are more expensive.
Dude, phones, anything technology based, like because games are digital, right? But anything that's like dude, computers, like. Sorry, I'm just getting like losing my mind because it applies to everything, dude. Graphics cards, monitors, like everything, anything technology related, we pay a huge import tax on. So let me just double check this price real quick. Let's see. Guess how much a PS5 out here costs, Dennis?
Give me US dollars.
Give me in US dollars. If you're lucky enough to find one this cheap, but they do on average go for this out here. Guess how much it costs? And this is without the price increase. This is how much we've had it. This is how much we've had to pay since the beginning.
700.
Very close, Dennis. 688.
Okay.
That's still a lot of fucking money, though.
It is. It is. For me, it's like, do I want to buy a PS5 or do I want to buy a brand new graphics card?
Dude, I would much rather get for that price. I'd much rather just get a 3060 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, you want a 3070, but for us going from a 2060 to a 3060, that's already a big jump.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait both out. I'm probably. It's gonna be 6 months to a year before I make either new console. Like I said, I haven't bought an Xbox Series X either. It's not like I'm like buying Microsoft stuff either. Right now, I'm just playing stuff on my PC.
You got a decent PC. You don't need it. Yeah, you don't need it.
With Game Pass and PC and like, I
might want to get another graphics card at some point.
Me too.
I don't have to worry about bottlenecking because my CPU is good. Like I could technically get like a 3090 if I wanted to, and I won't bottleneck.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't afford that to save my life. I know that we got the 40 series coming out soon, but when the 40 series comes out, obviously the 30 series is going to drop in price. So that's what I'm thinking. Getting a
Yeah.
3070, it's going to be cheaper than a PS5, at least in my country. You know.
So,
Yeah.
so, all right. More stuff. Cyberpunk. A lot of news. Cyberpunk
Yeah.
2077
Yeah.
news. So they officially announced the DLC they've been kind of, and this is a free DLC that's coming out. It's not coming out until next year, but it's called Phantom Liberty. They had a little trailer for it.
Oh yeah, Keanu Reeves is coming back for
Yep,
this one.
Johnny Silverhand. It's coming back. They've also announced they are stopping development on the PS4 and Xbox One, which makes sense. It's just the game was too big.
It should never have released on there, dude. It should never have released on there. It's
Yeah.
it's still like if you look at it now, like when the game came out, the console was 7 years old. I think the game's been out for 2 years. That means it's like the console's like what, 8 or 9? It's a 9. It's like a 9-year-old piece of machinery. You can't.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get your freaking next gen experience on an 8-year-old, 9-year-old piece of machinery. So it makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet, but as of this recording, Cyberpunk Edge Runners is out on Netflix, and I'm probably gonna binge it this weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. They did also release a couple of things currently right now in Cyberpunk related to Edge Runners. A bit of extra clothes and stuff. They tend to do that every time there's like a big patch. They add a few extra items of clothing in. I think the biggest change they made was the fact that you can now have a wardrobe, or like maybe I'm using the word wrong, but essentially you can choose your
a complete outfit.
Yeah, you can choose your outfit, you know what I mean? Save it, and then you can look that way, change your things around so you get the best stats.
Yes.
But then you don't have to look like a clown, you know?
Yes.
But that was the issue with Cyberpunk, is
Yes.
you looked ridiculous getting your best stats.
Yeah, you always have like some sort of like weird like a hat you would wear in a tropical vacation, and then
Yes,
you would wear
dude, yes, I was gonna say
like
it's one of those like what's it like? Almost like a Cuban, like one of those
yeah,
like Cuban
yeah,
hats that you would
yeah,
wear.
exactly.
Man, and then like big puffy pants and like maybe like a neon pink freaking bikini.
Yeah.
It never made sense. It never
No.
made sense.
No.
So they fixed that. They have added, I think, two. I read this a while ago, so I could be wrong. I think they've added 2 missions as well, like 2 or 3 different missions. So they've added more in-game stuff, and they've cleaned up the game a lot more. So it's looking really good. Like if you haven't played the game yet,
I haven't touched
like,
in a
now's
while.
the time.
I uninstalled it. I will play it again once the DLC comes out next year, but it was just taking up too much space on my hard drive, so I did.
But for those who haven't played it yet, there's nothing wrong with the game currently. Yeah, the AI sucks. The AI is always gonna suck. I don't think they're ever gonna fix the AI. But you don't play the game to go and watch people in AI walk around the city. You want to experience Night City. You know what I mean? Not the AI. It's a good game, man. Definitely check it out, guys.
So also CD Projekt Red also said that they are totally committed to making more Cyberpunk in the future. So despite the disappointing sales and reception to the game, they still plan on making more. I mean, it's not like they lost money on the game. They just didn't make as much as they thought. They thought there was going to be like huge, and then it ended up being like, okay, that was cool, but it wasn't quite the big hit that they were expecting it to be. So but they are planning on making more. I look forward to it. Like I said, I enjoyed the game.
I loved it, man. Yeah.
So you loved it a lot more than I did, but I see the potential in it. That's the thing, is much like it, I liked the first Red Dead Redemption, the first one, but I didn't love it. The second one I absolutely love. And it took like everything I wanted from the first one was in the second one. So I feel like I may get that out of Cyberpunk, whatever the next version of this will be.
Iteration.
Okay. Yeah.
Man, I'm excited. I'm just excited that they're gonna keep it going, because I love The Witcher as well, and I'm very much looking forward to future Witcher games. But I love the world that they've created of Cyberpunk, man. I love Night City, but I also want to see other cities. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's check out the East Coast. Like, what's New York looking like in this Cyberpunk in 20? What's Cyberpunk New York look like? I want to see that. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah. All right. Also, speaking of CD Projekt Red,
real quick, I was gonna say, when we spoke about the console price hike for the PS5, Xbox is not doing a price hike.
No.
Yeah.
Neither is Nintendo.
Yeah,
So.
which is like, awesome. But it's also like a hell of a flex on Sony, where it's like, hey, we're not upping our prices. Where the hell are you getting your chips? Because we're getting ours perfectly fine. You know?
Well, not. I think maybe Microsoft and Nintendo are
We're
willing
not
to.
well, not the Switch. Nintendo's different on that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure it doesn't.
They're willing to take a little loss.
True. Yeah. True.
So CD Projekt Red, we know a new Witcher's coming, Witcher 4. We don't have an official title yet, but they hinted at that this is a new saga, that this is the first game.
New Witcher as well.
Yes, and that we have more than one game in mind, so we might
Probably
be
a whole
seeing
new trilogy.
Yeah, that's kind of what people are thinking. So
Yeah.
I'm still kind of waiting for.
I don't think it's going to involve Ciri. I think it's going to be a whole new Witcher, whole new story.
I'm hoping that remastered. I only had started playing Witcher 3, but I never got very far in it, and I'm kind of hoping that whenever the hell this remaster comes out.
I thought you were going to say Witcher 1 and 2, because here's the thing.
No.
I loved The Witcher 1, 2, and 3, but I went back and played The Witcher 1 and 2, and it is not fun to play, man. Like, it's just, they need modern adaptations of, like, changing the mechanics and stuff. I would love a remaster of 1 and 2. 3 is still pretty freaking good on its own, man. Yeah, a next-gen update will be great, but it still looks great right now.
Yeah. Hopefully that remake comes out sooner than later. I can get it on my PC. Real quick, Quantum Dream sells to a Chinese company called NetEase. So they're 25 years of independence. This is the same maker of Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, Detroit Become Human. They're also working on that Star Wars game that was announced I think last year.
Star Wars game, yeah.
That looked really, really cool, but from people saying that it's going to take a while before that comes out. Oh, Star Wars Eclipse, that was the name of the game. But anyways, maybe they needed the assurance that they would have some resources to kind of pull off something like this. Maybe they realized it was a lot bigger and more risky proposition than they anticipated. So that's kind of my guess for it, why they sold.
I think their games were their games make money, but I don't think their games make as much money as what they expected, because Heavy Rain made money. Like, Heavy Rain was a really good game. It sold really well. I think Beyond Two Souls, I've played all their games, by the way. I love them. Beyond Two Souls was with Elliot Page. I will not be dead naming him, but with a very, very good game. Didn't sell that well, I think. And then Detroit Became Human. Here's the thing. People loved that game. It didn't sell well in the beginning, but then most people I know that played that game, they either got it on sale or they got it for free through PS Plus, or you know what I mean? And same with Beyond. Actually, now that I think about it, besides Heavy Rain, I've played all of their games for free through PS Plus. If that has an effect too, or what it is, but I think that they know, like, especially with Star Wars Eclipse, I think that they know. I think you're right. The amount of time and money they're putting into this, they're worried if they're going to get it back.
Yeah, and other than Star Wars Eclipse, which is going to be multi-platform, I think all the other ones were PS exclusives.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, so
as far as I know, yeah.
All right. The last thing I have before we get onto your stuff is this game called Immortality. I actually just recently finished it. It's from Sam Barlow, who's done very similar games like this. He did a game called Her Story and Telling Lies, and it's all full motion video based. It's all clip. It's less of a game and more like an interactive movie, because all you're really doing in all of these is you get like one clip and you start taking that clip and extrapolating out, getting connected to other clips, and you start piecing all these clips together to form the story that Sam Barlow wants to tell you. So it's like a mystery thriller. It's very well done. I very much enjoyed it. It's almost a game for like non-gamers. Like, if you're not really big on, there's nothing you do here except for look through footage. That's it. You look through footage. It sounds like it's boring, but it's not, because
that's a lot like their older games too.
Yes.
Like, I think they did Her Story, and it's also like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Her Story's on Game Pass as well. I could be wrong.
All of them are on Game Pass. All of them.
Okay,
They're perfect
nice,
for Game Pass. They're perfect for Game
they
Pass.
They are.
and this is his best one, in my opinion. The base story is basically this actress, she stars in 3 movies through different times. She stars in I think the movie in the 60s 60s, and then one in the 70s and one in the 90s, and none of them have ever come out for various different reasons. And you have all the footage and behind the scenes footage from the movies. And you just look through all the different clips one by one, and then you slowly piece together kind of this story and why they were never released, why the movies were never released, and kind of all the behind the scenes drama. It's very cool. It's not for, like, if you're looking for action and adventure and, gameplay, that's not it. This is purely if you want storytelling, told in an interactive way, and it's right up my alley. I very much enjoyed this, so I definitely recommend it if you know that going in. Did you play Hair Story?
I haven't.
Okay.
I was eyeballing it the other day because I saw it on Game Pass, and I was like, this looks interesting. Like, it's these types of games are always fun to play with a group of people. You know what I mean? Because it's, like you said, it's like an interactive movie, so everybody can follow along. I was looking at that because I was like, hey, seems like a good, fun game to play with, like, people on a couch, and everyone can have their takes and stuff. I think that's quite cool. I haven't played it yet, though. I usually find these games boring, personally. But like I said, they are good in groups, you know what I mean? Or it depends on the story, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm invested or not. Like, for instance, I know I'm going to be invested in Star Wars Eclipse, I know I'm going to be invested in Tales from the Borderlands.
You
and
might
things like
be
that.
more interested in this Immortality one because it's like behind the scenes movie stuff. It's like
It does
about
look way cooler, yeah.
her being an actress, and you see, like, because basically the premise is, like, all these movies it was never put together, like edited together. So you have, like, these behind, like, the third movie, like, you see a lot of, like, rehearsal stuff that was never shot for the actual movie.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
You see movie stuff, you see outtakes, you see, like, after the yell cut, and you see all this different stuff.
I would like that, actually, yeah.
So yeah, the whole premise, if you're into, and obviously you're in the industry, so kind of the behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, I would give it a try. I mean, if you have Game Pass, it's free, so check it out. And it's not a long game. It's between 5 to 7 hours, and you can finish the game without. Basically, the whole point is to discover different clips, and in the clips there's a lot of secrets. But you can finish the game even without finding every single clip. Because I watched reviews and I'm like, I didn't see that clip. Where's that clip? There's like a bunch of clips I never discovered. So I kind of want to go back and see if I can find those, even though I finished the game itself. But yeah, if you're into that thing, definitely check it out. So I think that's everything I have. What do you got on the table?
Well, there was a lot of Assassin's Creed news.
Oh, that's right.
Really
That's right.
that,
I
yeah.
forgot to talk about that. Why don't you talk about Mirage and what is it, the other one called? Team Red or something like that? Or
Well, they got code names, right?
yeah.
So codename Red and codename Hex. One of them we know is, I think codename Red is the one that is set in Japan in the feudal era. So we were joking, it's basically going to be
Ghost of Tsushima.
basically, yeah. But with Mirage, it seems like they're kind of going back to their roots. You know what I mean? Like, because when I first saw this, I was like, oh, this looks like Ezio. You know what I mean? Or was it Ezio? Altair. That was it. I was like, this looks like Altair. So it looks like they are going back to their roots. They said there's not going to be any loot. They said there's not going to be any loot boxes or anything like that, which confused me because I was like, what? How? Where would you even use them? Like, thanks for that. I appreciate you saying there's not going to be any of that, but like, where? Well, I guess they don't have loot boxes, but they have the Ubisoft store and you can buy cosmetics and stuff, but that's not loot box / gambling related. They've never had that, so I don't know where that came from. But yeah, so they're going back to basics with Mirage. And then they also kind of announced the other 2 games afterwards, which they don't have names yet. We know one is going to be set in feudal Japan. I don't know much about the other. And then they're talking about Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is going to be like their platform and how it ties all the games together. I'd imagine once all the games are out, at least from I could be very off about this, but the way my understanding of this before they made this announcement would be that Assassin's Creed Infinity would be like your hub or like your launcher for all your Assassin's Creed games, or you'll be able to like interact with all of them through that hub. You know what I mean? Don't know how that's gonna work per se. Um, I am interested. Oh, they've got the pre-order out already. Well, they're showing what you can get for the collector's case, which does look pretty good actually. It's interesting because there's some big DLC coming out for Valhalla soon, or coming out for Valhalla still. So they're still working on Valhalla. So they must have an entirely separate team working on Mirage.
Yeah, I mean, Mirage is a throwback to the original Assassin's Creed game. So the last two games, Valhalla and why am I blanking on the Roman one, Odyssey, were basically just not really pure Assassin's Creed games. They were just historical.
I did like them though, but they weren't very Assassin's based, like you said.
Yeah, I played Odyssey. I didn't play Valhalla. And this is kind of a throwback to that. And apparently the character is someone that is actually in Valhalla for a little bit. And so
okay,
yes,
nice.
So that character is like
Basim. Yeah. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. Yeah. I'm not even going to try that. But I'm glad that they're going back to their roots as well, because some people are going to like that. For me, I don't really care much. Like, I really liked Odyssey and Valhalla. Like, I like the direction that they're going in, where it's more action than stealth, you know? Like, you can be stealthy if you want to, but you can also just go in, axes swinging, murdering everybody. But this game looks like they are going very much back to the old stealthiness. And also, like, I think they're going to go to the actual story of, like, the Assassins and Templars again. Because the whole Assassins and Templars in Norway thing... Well, I mean, I guess that the Templars, you got England, it's set in England. I don't know. Sometimes they're... like the history and lore that they're using is a bit of a stretch. So it's nice for them to go back to something that looks a lot more real as well. But like I said, I liked where the direction they're headed, and I hope that when they release the Japanese Assassin's Creed, I hope that, well, you know what, that can be stealthy, but if it's too, like, I just hope it's different from Ghost of Tsushima, you know? I hope it's not, because when I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, I was like, wow, this is a more Assassin's Creed game than the current Assassin's Creed games, you know? Because the new Assassin's Creed games are very hack and slashy, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I wouldn't say I have high hopes. I think that the games are going to be good because Ubisoft learned their lesson years ago, which is that you cannot pump out an Assassin's Creed game every freaking year, and they're not going to do that with this.
And Call of Duty has learned that lesson as well.
Yeah. So I know that we got the next 3 games announced. It's going to be at least a decade for all 3 of them to be out, I think. And then also, Ubisoft is shifting to a $70 price point for their AAA games. Which I don't think that's going to affect me at all in my country. Because like I said, like with regional pricing, the games are priced weird out here, Dennis. Well, except for Nintendo is the only people that don't do regional pricing. Like I pay a lot of money for Nintendo games. Like I know, you remember how I told you full price games used to be 1,200 Rand, but now they're 800 Rand for regional pricing? Nintendo is still on the old 1,200 Rand pricing, which is like a whole $25 extra for a game, you know what I mean? Just to have it on Nintendo. It's crazy. So yeah, the $70 price, I don't think it'll be affecting me, like I said, because it's digital. If you're doing digital sales, it shouldn't affect me too much. It's definitely going to affect the Americans, and most likely the people in the UK paying $10 more for a AAA game. Here's the thing. I know many people that don't mind paying an extra $10, but it better be worth it. If that game sucks, man, it's going to be review bombed. It's going to be torn apart. People are going to be like, I paid $70 for this piece of crap. You know what I mean? People are going to be even more upset. But yeah, so they're shifting to a $70 price point. I think a lot of companies are. It's kind of sucky. But it's because they spend so much time and money on these games, and the games could flop, and I get that. But here's the thing, man. Indie studios don't have this problem. You want to know why? Because they don't invest their like entire life savings into a game. You know what I mean? Like I think game studios are investing way too much money sometimes. Sometimes too little, but a lot of the time people are investing way too much time, resources, and money into a game that could probably be just as good with less time, resources, and money. You know what I mean? Like a good example is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I love that game, but that game is way too big. There's way too much things to do. You know what I mean? It didn't need that much things to do right off the bat, and like to be that big, you get lost. You know. So I think that that's an issue. But hey, like I don't
No,
mind paying 70
no one,
bucks for a game, but it
no one
better be
needs.
worth it, Dennis.
I mean, look, I loved my time with Elden Ring, and I remember playing Fallout 3, especially with the DLCs, was definitely over 100 hours. Most games do not need to be over 100 hours, you know? Like, get away from this, like, dude, 20, 30 hours is plenty of enough time for a game.
I was going to say, man, there are some amazing 10-hour games
Yeah,
out there,
exactly.
you know what I mean? Some like jaw-dropping 10-hour games out there. You can finish in like a day or like 2 days, you know?
Yeah, I mean, to me, 20 to
worth it.
30 hours is perfectly fine. I believe like the Mass Effect games were around there, probably closer to 30 hours. That's fine. It's good enough. There's so many games out there. You don't have time for it all. So, you know.
Yeah, so Skull and Bones is going to come out at $70. I think you can pre-order it now for $70 or $69.99 or whatever. But I think it's last gen is still $60. So anything coming out on the PS4 or Xbox One, that'll be $60. Anything coming out on the PS5 and Series X, am I saying that right? I don't know. Anyways, next gen is going to be $70. Old gen is still $60. Don't know how that makes any sense because I don't feel like the effort could be any different. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I know it's different. Like, you're gonna be making a next gen version for PS5 and an old gen version for PS4, but it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think people aren't gonna be that upset about $70, but they're gonna hold the games to a bigger standard. You know what I mean? Like, if you buy a $60 game and it's shit, you're gonna be upset. But if you buy a $70 game and it's bad, you're gonna be fuming. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think game companies have a lot more to lose by doing this.
I come from an era when games used to be $50. That was like the
Don't remind
standard.
me,
That's the
Dennis. Yeah.
standard price for all video games, $50.
I remember that.
And
as
it
well,
was
man.
like that for a while. It was like that for like 20 something years, I think. Started in
Dude,
the
it was
80s.
definitely
Yeah,
it was definitely that way for the 2000s for the most part as
But
well.
yeah,
like late 90s, 2000s. It was still doing that, dude,
20 to 25 years, it was like $50.
yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about from
yeah.
the Nintendo cartridge days, you know?
Yeah, dude.
Nintendo
I think it was
NES
around
days.
I think it was around like the PS3 era, like that era. I think is when they started upping the prices for games.
Mm-hmm.
But like I still remember, like PS2 prices were like a stock price. You know what I mean? PC games as well. Everything was the same freaking price. It was affordable. You know. I remember because I used to be able to like spend my allowance and go buy myself a game, and then like the older I got, I realized my allowance couldn't buy those games anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna blast through these because it's already like almost 3 a.m. here. So we spoke about that. Go away. Oh, I'm excited about this because I hated this game. Babylon's Fall is shutting down its servers in February. Thank goodness. The game sucked. I just wanted to point that out. Here's why the game sucked. Because it was a looter shooter. Well, a looter. Well, you're not shooting. It's a hack and slash game, but it's a looter based game. But you start off looking like a god, dude. If they started you off in like a pair of like sandals and like maybe like a potato bag for underwear, I would have been so stoked to play the game and get new gear. But the fact that every single piece of gear looked like it was god level, it takes the fun out of it. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta grind your way up. Like, that's the whole point of looter games, is the grind, man. And if the grind's not fun, anyways. Point is, game sucks. They're shutting down the server. I think it went free to play for a while because that's how bad the game was doing.
Mm-hmm.
EA Originals partners with Dynasty Warriors Studio for a new Monster Hunter-like game. I don't know much about this, but I'm keeping my eye on it because I do like the Dynasty Warriors studios. I like the Dynasty Warrior games, or the Warrior games in general, because they do spin-offs with other animes and stuff too. But that style of gaming I like, and they're going for like a Monster Hunter-like, which means I'm assuming it's going to be the same kind of combat from the Warriors games, but with just bigger bosses. I'm not too sure, but and they're working with EA, so it's going to be a brand new IP. Looking forward to that. And then we have some leaked pictures about what the Quest Pro is going to look like. I don't know if you've seen these.
No. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's just it's just the box. It's a lot more slimmer than it looks like.
Yes.
It actually looks like snow goggles. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it's interesting because it's marketed as a Quest Pro. You can play the Quest games on there, but it has more AR capabilities because like right now on the Quest 2, right, the cameras for see pass through is like black and white. It's not very clear. These are like very clear that you can see through, so you can like integrate AR technology with them. But the chip itself is the same chip as the Quest 2. It's only the RAM is more. It's double the RAM,
Yeah.
and so it's weird because it's a Quest Pro, but it's better, but not that much better. It's more like a Quest 2 Plus versus a Pro. That's
Yeah.
my opinion about it.
I'm just wondering about the design choice for the nose. Like they've now made a bigger gap for your nose, but it looks like it also closes because that's the one thing that annoys me about VR is the light coming in through that gap of your nose. And I think there are things you can buy to like things you can like silicone things you can buy to like hide the gap between your nose and the Quest. So this new design, it looks like it's either going to eliminate that or going to make it a much bigger problem. I'm not too sure. But it's nice that they're slimming down the design, so it's probably going to be lighter, which means it's going to be nicer to wear as well. That is all the news I've got, though. Yeah.
Cool. What have you been playing? I already talked about what I've been playing, Immortality. I'm gonna hop back onto Guardians after that. What have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of Valorant, as per the usual. Cult of the Lamb.
I heard that's great.
So good, so good. It's literally Binding of Isaac meets Animal Crossing. That's it. Binding of Isaac meets Animal Crossing, except it's super adorable. Yes, you are building a cult, but it's super adorable, and the gameplay is good. So I've been playing that on my Switch a lot because we've been having load shedding, which means we have like no electricity half the freaking day. So I sit on my Switch and I play Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah, if I also had load shedding like you guys, I would own either a Switch or a Steam Deck.
Yeah, exactly. Well, or if you can afford it, you get yourself an inverter that at least gives you an extra 2 or 3 hours of electricity.
Buy how much is your inverter? Because I bought a Anchor power bank. I'm going to use it for when I go camping. I'm actually doing it
to run my PC. To run my
oh,
PC,
okay, PC. Yeah. No, I can't do that.
No.
But I can. I can run laptops and I can run tablets, and then I can charge cell phones and like a Steam Deck.
I got a small one
Switch.
just to keep the Wi-Fi on. So I bought something just to keep the Wi-Fi on, a little inverter, and you can charge your phones and laptops on there as well. But no, in order to like keep my PC running, I need a pretty big inverter.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Like 2,000 watt minimum kind of thing.
Yeah. Mine's a 500 watt.
Hours, yeah.
Mine's a 500.
That could actually give you an hour of use from your PC.
I don't think it's enough wattage power.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
Yes.
So yeah, I've been playing Valorant, Cult of the Lamb, and I feel like there's something else. I gotta check my Game Pass to see what I have installed here. I've been playing something else too lately. It was a management game. Was it 2 Point Campus? Was it? Oh, okay. Well, that's not loading. I'm pretty sure it is. Oh yeah, I was playing Road 96 again, which is an indie game that came out a while ago. Like story-based, quest-based. It's actually really good. I've really been enjoying that. But yeah, that's about it. Yeah, mainly Valorant. I haven't had the time to game much. I've been working a lot.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, work is good, man. Work is good.
Cool. All right, guys. So that's it for our episode. This was a long one, but that's because we've been off for a couple weeks, and there was tons of news. I'm sure there was other stuff we probably could have gotten to as well, but yeah, hopefully we'll have another episode much sooner, and hopefully a lot of cool stuff comes out. And yeah, we're finally getting into the gaming season.
Man.
Yeah. So, all right. Until next time. Actually, forgot. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog. You also can follow me on Twitter @ThinkHero, Instagram Dennis.tzng. Josh, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch @itsthespis, all lowercase, all one word. There should be a link in the description below.
Yes.
And definitely join our Discord server, man. I like talking to you guys. You know, come have some conversation in the Discord server.
All right, cool. Until next time, see you guys later.
Later.